So today I'm planting one of my favourite spring crops, little tiny Brussels sprout plants, and there's 3 plants in each of these pots, and I plant them out about a density of 9 little clumps like this per square metre. I get a massive kind of huge profusion of leaves and not very many sprouts, because I don't want them for sprouts, I want them for this gorgeous leaf growth in the hungry gap. So I'll show you the details of what I'm going to do. It is such a great crop, highly recommended. So this bed used to be spinach interplanted with salad onions. I finished harvesting the salad onions and I finished harvesting the spinach yesterday, so I'm just taking out these last few plants and I'm leaving those overwintered onions down the end there. They were also interplanted with spinach, but I've taken the spinach out to give them a bit more room. So we're under a little low tunnel, so let's get this bed cleared. So I've put down 2 handfuls of bloodfish and bone meal, made some deep holes with my bulb planter. There's a lot of fertiliser in there, not as much, a bit more than I'd normally use, but I want these plants to grow fast and I don't really care about their long-term health because I want them out of this bed in sort of mid to late July. And because this bed's been undercover all winter, I am just pre-watering the holes with water. What else would I pre-water a hole with? Anyway, so rain's kind of stopped playing now outside, so I'll just answer a few questions. So the first question that I often get is, why plant them in clumps? Well, it's really just for ease, really. Don't take up as much space when you're growing them in the polytunnel over winter, when they're grown 3 plants to a pot. Doesn't really affect the yield, makes it much easier to stake them. I do like to have these staked because it makes it much easier to harvest the leaves when the plants aren't all flopping all over the place. And yeah, so that's the first question. Second thing is, do you ever get any sprouts? Well, yes, I do. So about July time, I find that the plants start to form sprout tops. If you harvest those sprout tops and eat those, just like you would like a little cabbage, then that stimulates growth of sprouts on the stem. So if I take the sprout tops off at about beginning of July, then I find I get sprouts mostly by the kind of end of July, and then about August I take the plants out because I want to plant my autumn and winter crops in that bed. So that's the second question. Third question I get is, why do you plant them so densely? Because that works out something like 27 plants per square metre, where really if you're growing Brussels sprouts for winter, you would only probably have a maximum of 2, maybe 3 plants in that space. And the reason is because, you know, the primary objective isn't to grow them for the Brussels sprouts, and I don't need to keep them alive over winter. And there's something about that high density planting that seems to trigger more leaf growth. I don't really know specifically what's going on there, but anyway, it works well for me. The other thing is, if you plant 3 plants per station, not all of them will thrive, and that just happens with Brussels sprouts in general anyway. You know, not every plant thrives. And of course it doesn't really matter, because, you know, if you get 2 thriving, that's still plenty. That's still, you know, 18 plants per square metre, which is still great. If only 1 out of 3 thrived, then it's still not too bad. You know, you still got 9 plants per square metre, so you're still going to get a fair bit of leaf growth. You might even get a few more Brussels sprouts. The exact planting density, I haven't, you know, had enough years really to do enough experiments to determine the best. I would say it's somewhere between 18 and 27. In this bed actually I'm a little bit lower than 27 because some of my clumps of sprouts didn't have 3 in them. So, you know, that I think I ended up, to say, with about 18. So final question I think I get most often is, when do I start harvesting? Sometime in May, early May, something like that. Kind of as a complement to spring cabbages. The nice thing is, of course, that it's a continuous harvest. it keeps on going from mid-May all the way through till July, August time sort of thing. So I think we're done. So if you're interested in finding out more about growing Brussels sprouts, take a look at my individual growing guides, part of my comprehensive gardening ebook. And there we go, there's the Brussels sprouts section, and there's loads more videos in here about growing Brussels sprouts, all different types of year, how to harvest them, sow them, plant them, etc, etc. So definitely worth a look. Also my recommended varieties are in there as well. And if you are growing Brussels sprouts, just like all of the brassicas, you need to protect them from the pigeons and the insects. And so in the basics section of my book, I do have a little guide to growing under cover. And if you look in the contents list under mesh, then you'll find details of how I make a nice low cost and flexible brassica frame. There's all the different details of all the bits and pieces that you need to make that in there, as well as a guide, construction guide for it. So hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve. This is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.